Hi, we'd like to extend our stay.
And upgrade.
You will be delighted to know that I'm going to make cottage cheese pancakes this morning, and the cottage cheese I'm using is a full-fat cottage cheese.
I am over the moon about that information.
Mm-hmm.
Use full-fat milks, full-fat cottage cheese. Stop. Why are people removing yolks from eggs?
Cholesterol.
Like, is it, but like, is the egg yolk really the problem?
If you're eating it with bacon, probably not.
Like, if you have a cholesterol
I don't know. Does bacon
issue,
actually have a cholesterol correlation? I don't really know.
Yes, it must. I don't know, but it must.
It certainly.
I feel like
it certainly has to.
It must. It's like that scene in Mean Girls where Regina's like, is butter a carb? And Lindsay Lohan's like, yes.
I think that's
Except you and I are both Regina, and there's no Lindsay to tell us yes or no. I have no idea. I'm imagining that bacon can't be good for high cholesterol patients.
I feel like bacon's not good. Unfortunately, bacon's not good for anything. And on that note, on the note of nutrition, I think it's the perfect time to say, hey residents, welcome back to Hotel Earth 360 Degrees. I'm Ari.
And I'm Lexi. Just kidding. We fooled you. We fooled you.
Tricked you. I actually do listen to one podcast where the hosts are related.
Swap identities.
They sound, when I first started listening, they had the same voice. It was so annoying to try and like follow the conversation because I couldn't tell who was speaking. And this was before the days of having a video accompany a podcast. So I literally just would fumble through trying to decipher with my ear holes which one was speaking. Because at one point I was like, this is a really wild monologue. Like, this person is just responding to themselves.
They just don't stop. I've been told that my sister and I speak very similarly. Do you think we have the same voice?
You don't have the same voice, but you all do similarly sound a lot alike. Yeah. If you and Roshan got on a podcast, I think that the listeners their ears would bleed.
Roshan and I have had many instances throughout the years where like people, if they're on the phone with one of us, they think it's the other one.
Growing up, my grandma would do that with me and my mom.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't see.
I feel like in some regards it makes sense. I'm thinking of my extended family now, and people do sound similar, but I wonder if it's a lot of it, I'm sure, is just the cadence of how you speak because you're learning obviously from like your family and your parents and even your friends. But I mean, actually sounding alike, that's a totally different.
I could see why siblings would have a similar voice, just genetically, like the intonation from vocal cords could come out similarly. Anyway,
and that's our 2 cents on voices. Have you missed us? Have you missed our opinions on things? If you haven't, then you should probably click out of this video right now.
This is going to be opinion full.
Yeah.
Opinion full of opinion this episode. Welcome. This, listeners, residents, if you will, is our take on the agriculture season. We've spent this entire season asking everyone that we spoke to what they think. We've been asking farmers, urban planners,
permaculturists,
so many different people.
Indigenous folks.
Oh my gosh, we've talked to so many people this season. Grace, Tucker, Aaron, Zion, Cole, the team at Blue Marble Acres, Marco here in Italy, Edo, and I personally even remember trying to tap into my favorite spy's brain, Milo.
Yes.
Just to get a feel on what he's thinking about.
You know,
all
he's
this.
always got the inside scoop.
I feel like he's in contact with the government. I feel like he's got really high security clearance.
He does. He absolutely does.
He definitely knows like the nuke codes.
He knows codes to something. My heart, my bank account, everything.
Morse. He's like tapping away, sending messages and
when
signals
he's
to
running
other
up and down the hallway and his feet are just click-clacking away. It's actually Morse code. That's how he's communicating with his mothership. I took it from a place of spy to alien really fast. I haven't finished my first cup of coffee, so that kind of makes sense.
Could very well be synonymous. And as we round out this installment of the agriculture season, we want to share not only what we think, but maybe what Milo thinks. If you guys are not sure to what creature I'm referring to, this is Lexi's child.
The
happens
literal
to be a canine.
love of my life. He's right here. Let me get him.
If you're watching on video, he's about to appear on screen. Come here, my angel. Milo. My sweet Milo, tell us the codes.
Look how sleepy he is.
See, he's unsuspecting, but he knows, bro. He knows things.
He does.
I've been telling her since the day I met Milo. We're going on like a decade now.
Yeah.
We're going on like a decade now of knowing each other. Milo and myself, that is. And I had suspicions from the very start that he was involved in some sort of espionage. At first I thought French, but then I realized like the French are not, no offense to any French people listening, they're not nearly as advanced as that.
You know what's funny? This might not be super funny for everybody, but whatever, it's funny for us. We started joking that Milo was a spy for Russia before that was like really a thing. Like before they hacked into the potable water in Tampa, Florida, before they started doing a very lot of espionage-esque things. And I know we're like really, really transgressing here, but
no, I definitely I think it must have been around 2016. I want to say
easy.
Do you think it was 16? Because I think it was like 2018 when I transitioned from thinking he was a French spy to Russian. I think it was 2018.
You know, I could see that. I'm having flashbacks of like watermelon sugar in your Prius, and that would have been 18.
That was 2020. That was
2020. Oh my god. Anyways,
watermelon sugar. That was during COVID. Remember who was piled in that car?
Yeah, I do. I was on Delaney Fuller's lap.
I was on someone's lap.
We started this season, sort of in the same position as many of our listeners, perhaps even a little behind some of them, I have to say. We didn't exactly know what we would learn when this season started off, frankly.
Yeah, like I knew the season would definitely change my habits and my lifestyle day to day. Like that was going to be inevitable. Yeah. It was the same thing that happened after we did the plastic season. I just like naturally, after all the research, after all the conversations, just became a little bit more aware. And every time we embark on these deep dives, I find myself changing something. I feel like for the better. It has to be for the better.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because I was reflecting on the plastic season specifically when I was sort of reflecting on this season. And similar to last season, I've noticed quite a few new consumer habits specifically. But like, what about you?
Consumer habits for sure. I think that's the most the most tangible thing that's changed. I say tangible because there's been a lot of non-tangible changes for me as well. Just how I approach the concept at all in my head is so different. I'm more conscious about sourcing now more than I've ever been. The last decade of my life after studying environmental science I've always in the last 10 years I've always been pretty conscious about it as compared to like I would say the average maybe American. But now there's a type of consciousness, like innate consciousness, especially that's like reflected in my consumer habits that I did not have before doing the work for this season, and more awareness of seasonality. So I would say food sourcing and agriculture sourcing and seasonality are the two things that I've become hyper aware about without even really noticing it in my consumer habits, if that makes sense. Like it's just something I do now. Like it switches on.
Yeah, I echo all of that, and I would say too, maybe along the same lines, I've noticed changes in just what I am eating, not in I am the epitome of health and wellness or anything like that, but more so I think I still appreciate food. I am for sure someone who just like very much enjoys trying new foods. I like new cuisines. I like trying to cook new things. But I have been a lot more conscious about what I am eating and where it comes from. And even just my own relationship with food. Like, do I need to be eating as much as I did before?
Right.
Like snacking, things like that.
Right.
So not in a diet way, but just like really thinking about what I consume, literally. Like,
yeah.
So,
and also like that's why I mentioned sourcing, because also thinking about what you consume and where it came from, I think is kind of what you're getting at too, because at least I think, I mean, obviously I'm not trying to speak on how you're changing your consumer habits, but how that's kind of sort of come to, I want to say fruition for me, is I literally the word glyphosate. I'm not even kidding. I'm like, do I think there's glyphosate on this or in this?
Me looking at
I'm
berries
not joking.
every time I'm at Trader Joe's.
I'm not joking. I'm like, this might even be too far, but I'm even like, because I read an article lately. If you guys didn't know, glyphosate's a really big topic in the agriculture space right now. It always should be, but right now in particular, because of all the Roundup
litigation,
liability shield and litigations,
bills and such.
Correct. We wrote a little bit about it on our Substack, so go check that out.
And there's also a video on YouTube if you're into watching rather than reading. No shade.
Yeah, we're cute, so you should. But I even read an article that or was it in a podcast? Regardless, that glyphosate's even like gotten into this is obvious, but it's gotten into our water supply because of, obviously, like we've explained this in the plastic season. If you're putting stuff in your soil, it eventually percolates into the water table. So,
or if you're putting it on your field, it's running off into the water systems.
Exactly. So even my consciousness about that, I'm like, oh, I'm really hyper conscious about pesticides and glyphosate in particular, and that similar to what you said about what am I putting in my body when I'm eating this food. So it's like not even like being conscious about it from, like you said, this like hyper Western wellness POV. It's more just like, does this contain poison? And how can I remove that threat as best I can? We talked about so much this season. The agriculture season is more than just glyphosate. It's more than just pesticides. It's more than just food, actually.
Yeah.
Agriculture is a massive, like, behemoth of an industry.
Great word.
And it encompasses a lot. It goes into civil rights and food justice, and it goes into people's access to nutrition and nutritious food. It goes into it's a really big sector of American and global economy. It's a massive conversation in climate and environmental spaces. So it's a huge it's a huge thing. That's not just like, it's not just a farmer. It's not just about the stereotype that you have in your head about a man in overalls who works out in a field all day with a cow. Like, it's not, like, it is so much more than that. And there have been many themes that we've talked about throughout this season that have stuck with me. So our episode about food sovereignty, I think it was episode 5. Yeah, like, so talking about food security and food sovereignty, something that just is absolutely insane to me is this concept of food apartheid that you explained in that episode. I find it just wild that not everyone has access to nutritious food on purpose. Like, it's absolutely intentional. That to me is a really shocking truth about, like, the food system right now. And I don't think people realize that agriculture is used as like a weapon. It's used as a war crime in a lot of ways.
Not just speaking about like here, but abroad,
right.
You mean?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, there are many examples where oppressors will eliminate the oppressed access to their culture and their food.
Yes.
To demonstrate oppression and colonization. That's the more war crime route. But in the US, it's not maybe defined as a war crime, obviously, but it similarly, we use the word apartheid because it's not food desert, which in maybe like literature would explain a food desert being like a synonym to food apartheid, but food desert doesn't encompass the intentionality behind it. Food desert sounds like something that just happens.
Yeah,
like a desert
it's
just
more
exists.
Like food desert seems more like a metric measurement. Like if you're in an urban area and it's a grocery store is more than a mile away, food desert. If you're in a more rural area and it's greater than 10 miles away, food desert. But it doesn't, like you're saying, describe the systemic, oppressive planning and other tactics that go into actually keeping it that way. It's like the social part, I think, is what you're describing.
That was really shocking to me. It's something that I think I kind of knew, but just really getting that solidified as like an idea was hard for me, especially just because like my privilege with access to food my whole life, I find it that was really hard for me to swallow. And another thing that I really, really am going to, this concept is going to stick with me forever, is the idea and the fact that consumers actually have so much more power than we're led to believe in the capitalistic system that we have, aka episode 7, the consumer rebellion. The industry and therefore policies are really shaped by us, and it really just comes down to us being aware, educating ourselves, and making decisions based on that information. And the industry has to follow, even if we're talking about an industry shaped by billionaires. Like, they are billionaires because they got successful. Okay, this is a very simplified version of a billionaire, so do not come at me. But just saying, like, if we think about some of these industries, they got so rich because they filled a market demand. Like, but we create that demand.
They got rich because of us.
Yeah, absolutely. That gave me a lot of hope. So we had this one side about food apartheid that was really crushing for me. And then there's a lot of other really crushing things about the agriculture system, okay, like agricultural monopolies, which I hope to talk about in a little bit. But then I have this like insane hope and like just belief that we really, and I don't mean this as like some like cheesy hope core, like I actually really believe in the power of the consumer. To shape the industry.
I had a similar arc. Mine started, I think, earlier in the season. It was either like at least favorite episode wise of topics covered. I think it was either 2 or 9. Like those two are competing for first place for me. And I think that they sort of go hand in hand. Episode 2 focused on how we ended up in the state that we're in. It really dove deep into industrial agriculture. It was actually supposed to be, fun fact for those, I guess, who super fans maybe, I don't know, or those who just like to know how the sausage gets made. Episode 2 and 3 were originally one episode. The plan was to explain historically what industrial agriculture was, and then the second half of the episode would be what regenerative ag is. And then as we started actually planning, we realized that they both deserved their own episodes because there's so much to cover.
Yeah.
So speaking specifically just about episode 2, it gave me hope in a funny sort of way. It put into perspective just how quickly things can change.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because when you first said hope for that episode, that was I had a bit of like a reaction.
You were like,
whoa,
wait a second.
Like hope from industrial ag?
You were like,
good point.
Did you get beamed up last night? Is this actually Lexi that I'm speaking to, taking it back to a place of aliens?
Just because industrial agriculture episode, that one that we did, was one of the more bleak ones because it was just like rough. This is where we're at.
But let me, It showed how quickly things can change, and it also made me think specifically about what my family did. Like, I'm only a generation removed from the farm, and my grandfather wasn't an industrial ag farmer. He was a smallholder farmer. And that's my grandfather. So I know that it's not so far distant. And that we got ourselves into this pickle in kind of a quick way. And so I think episode 9 reminded me that we've seen a lot of positive change in a short span, mostly by way of what we've collectively relearned and shared, and just how accessible that information is. Like, it's quite possible that this is right now, here in this moment, in this time, this is the best opportunity for the greatest success story.
It makes me think of, I think I mentioned this sometime earlier in the season, maybe in episode 1, but it makes me think of the movie Interstellar. And I think
you opened up, or maybe you closed. You closed one of the episodes with an Interstellar reference.
So I'm gonna come back full circle here. This what you just said makes me think of Interstellar, because I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. I'll do my best not to ruin it or spoil it if you have not. But essentially, it puts us into like a very near future, on the brink of apocalypse sort of scenario. And what's happening in the food system, like agriculture is actually a really big part of the storyline, because essentially humanity is having to seriously consider deserting planet Earth because they can no longer grow food to sustain. Like the soil has all died and it can no longer produce nutritious food for the planet. And they're in this pickle. And the thing, more of a pickle, they're literally on the brink of collapse. And more than a pickle. They don't even know what a pickle is, because they can't grow a cucumber to make the damn pickle. So they're in this situation where, but the thing about that is it pushes them to this point of like this strong connection and belief in humanity. That is the thing. And now the way that they solve that problem is the film. And I don't necessarily agree with that solution. But the thing that movie, I think, really showed us, and what I think reflects in what you just said, is things can change very quickly. But the thing, in a good or a bad direction, okay, we're talking about a matter of a few years, okay, not a big geologic timeline. But the thing that is so so undeniably true for me in all of this is that humans have this like unspoken connection with each other, and when faced with something that big, there's always a forward motion.
Yeah.
And I say forward motion, and I mean that to be like a non-binary term, because I don't know if it means good, bad. It just means we do figure out a way to come together and move forward out of it. So I can see why you would pull hope from something like the industrial agriculture episode.
Yeah.
Industrial agriculture, in a way, also did show us a lot of really incredible things about humans. It showed us that we're capable of using tech in a way that can seriously increase productivity and efficiency and feed people. It failed in a lot of ways, but it also did solve some problems we were facing at the time.
Yeah.
Can we use that kind of mentality, knowing what we know now about agricultural science, to move forward and fix some of the current problems we're facing? I think it's an interesting question.
It is. And this season, for a lot of reasons, really shocked me. I was and still am in awe of the hope that we found. Every person we spoke to making this project has hope. Every interviewee, like every single person that we spoke to, and we didn't know that before speaking to them. I think that was that's like the most incredible part, is we were lucky enough to have this network bestowed upon us, but we didn't know any of these people before we really sat down and interviewed them. So we didn't know what they were going to say. And I think that is that to me is the shocking part. How much hope every single person had.
It was beautiful. It's every mentor, every new connection that assisted us or did sit down with us and spoke with us on this project and collaborated. People even within the broader network, like this overwhelming sense of like urgency, but also this belief that we can do it. And I find that to be incredibly compelling as well, because you and me, we're just girls. we're just two girls. Yes, we studied, right? And we've been working in or adjacent to the industry for a while, but we're not experts by any means. By any means. So if you're here on this podcast listening thinking we're the experts, no, we brought in the experts. We provide the color and flavor. But we're not experts, and to sit down and talk with people that know the industry so well, have seen the ugliest parts of it firsthand, and can still sit there and tell two girls who want to talk about it with like our community and be like, yeah, but we can do it.
Yeah.
Like, we can do it. We can fix this. That was something I wrote down actually as like something I really wanted to talk about with you today, is the money, the land, the resources in general, and the solutions all exist. It's really about allocation and dispersion of information. So education.
Yeah.
Like, it's really what it comes down to. And every single person we spoke to for this season reinforced that.
That's literally my point. This story's arc is hopeful. What do you think is the single thing you learned this season that most changed how you interact with or view the food system? Not what you eat, not the glyphosate of it all, but just your interactions.
Two things stand out to this question. So one is more of like just a practical thing that's happening right now in the like ultra capitalistic system, and that's agriculture monopolies and consolidation. So that has less to do about like what I'm literally putting in my mouth and more about the system. Like the system's like enormity and I'm not even gonna front what a big mountain it's gonna be to like fight that. Like so agriculture monopolies and how that consciousness has changed how I interact with the food system is really I'm gonna take it back to the beginning of this episode and how I use my consumer dollar. I'm trying to be more conscious about when I give the money that I have to feed myself, is that kind of like island economics, like what Tucker brought up. Is that dollar going to get sent back to this monopoly somehow, or is it going to stay
within your community,
in this little micro economy, in the local economy that I'm in? I try to be very conscious about that. I'm not perfect at it. I think it's really hard to be perfect at that, but it's something I try to be very conscious about, because I think that solves a lot of issues just right there. I think that solves a lot of issues when it comes to the potential for smallholder farms to go out of business, for food quality, actually like nutritious food, for soil quality, carbon capture, for food access and food sovereignty and food security. I think that one conscious decision actually is a ripple effect into a lot of really important issues. So that's the first thing that I noticed. And the second thing is the cycle of life that Tucker brought up, and how everything, especially when we're trying to connect more with the food system, but really everything we do, how can we connect more to the cycle of life? So if I'm buying, we talked about milk at the top of this episode.
Yeah, we did.
I'm sure there's a decent amount of vegans listening, but like I drink milk, sorry. But if I buy milk from like an industrial producer, that is me dissociating more from the cycle of life than if I buy that milk that was from a local dairy in Chianti that's only like a couple kilometers away. Like just that choice connects me more to the cycle of life. Now, it would be even more connected to the cycle of life if I milked the cow myself. I know. I'm not doing that, but I'm trying to do these little microcosms, these micro habits to connect me a little bit more. Trying to like grow basil instead of buying it.
Yeah.
Trying to like, just get a little bit closer. Because something we forget, and something I relearned in this season, is that humans are nature. We keep putting this like cognitive dissonance between us and nature, and we're as if it's two separate things, it's two separate conversations, and we're not. Like, our biology is natural. Like, we have done a lot of, through technology and medicine and a lot of things, not that that's all bad, we have started to outsmart it in some ways, and that has probably removed us a little bit, but we are nature, and I think it would be good for everybody to try and make that conscious choice to connect a little bit more to that natural cycle of life.
I love that. I think for me, learning about and discussing where and how recipes impact the food system was like my equivalent. And maybe I was considering subconsciously addressing the fact that what I buy influences what is available, right? Like,
yeah,
I think, as you said earlier, you and I, before we started the season, we were already a little bit more conscious about some of these things.
Yeah.
And for years, I have half-mindedly prioritized things that were in season. Like, I knew that strawberries were best in the summer, having citrus in the winter. But then last year, I started to keep a list of what was in season month to month on my grocery list. Like, it just lived there. And I started keeping it there probably around the time that we actually began our interviews for the season. But it really came together so pointedly for me in episode 8, when we were talking about recipe culture. That was an aha kind of conversation for me.
Our guests have gave us a lot of those aha moments. I'm really grateful for our guests coming on and making some light bulb switches come on for us. Some, like, speaking of aha moments, Grace had the two of us like literal bobbleheads the entire interview. She is someone that just brought so much of that bing, that light bulb switch, where the whole time you and I were just like, oh my, oh yes, 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 yep, right on the nose, like the whole time.
Dude, my head is literally still bobbing. Like, yes.
Perpetual bobblehead.
Grace has so much like passion and power. Phenomenal. Can't say enough.
The beauty of this season really came from the conversations, dude. Like the dialogue we had. Like, these people have so much to share. Unscripted, unrehearsed, just people.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of people focused on solutions, focused on also the reality, but looking forward, what they can contribute, just one solution at a time. I'm really grateful for that. And it just gave me a lot of hope. One solution I'm really glad came up is, well, I don't know if it's as much of a solution as it is like a mindset shift, but I think our Grace and Edo talked about this, but it's kind of like our little, and we sort of just spoke about it as well, but like our micro habits, especially in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And how those little things can actually like transcend into something bigger. You know, focusing on ingredients rather than recipes. Just that alone can ripple into like a lot of really informed consumer decisions. Or focusing on food as a way to bring people together, like Grace was saying. Now, is that a solution? I think so.
Yeah.
Because I think it brings more consciousness to the food system when we think of it as like a community tool like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that by way of solutions to, I'm really grateful for our conversation with Erin, because I don't know that I would have really taken into consideration how many different ways we can come at this issue, like regenerative grazing. That's a topic I wouldn't have even known about if not for his interview specifically. And, you know, I guess just talking to our broader network, that's not something that comes up in day-to-day life, right? Like, we've all heard of the dairy farmer, we've all heard of, you know, growing a crop, but regenerative grazing, yeah, that was a really cool solution for me.
Yeah, I think it's awesome how he reinforced that working with the ecology of a place can literally be our path forward.
Yes.
Like, we think that we need these crazy solutions with a lot of money and a lot of tech and AI. And while that might be true on a level, some of the solutions are just right there in front of our face. It's like, go back to the natural ecology of this landscape. And you will find a few things. You'll find that you don't actually need weed killers, because maybe the way you rotate the field removes the stress for that soil, which will remove which will remove the need for weeds and for pests to introduce themselves into like a stressed microbiome. You know, using cattle as migratory grazing herd, like in putting them in these herd like patterns so that it can like reinforce like soil pack and like putting nutrients back into soil with literal like grazed grass and all the nutrients that they provide through their 4 stomachs. Like, it's like just going back to the knowledge of the ecology, that indigenous knowledge that used to be the prominent way to harvest, and that we've kind of found ourselves away from. We could come back to that, use that alongside advances in tech for productivity and efficiency. I understand that we need that. We need to feed a lot of people, but there's a lot of solutions just right there in the soil, literally. More than just solutions, we talked about how we can reshape our own fundamental relationship with the world around us. And as I said before, Tucker talks about connecting to the cycle of life as the starting point for everything. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Grace talks about food bringing people together. Zion and Cole talk about the body as a landscape that needs tending, treating the body as its own unique ecology and paying attention to that.
I think Zion and Cole's interview was the most meditative conversation I've ever been a part of.
It must be all the Buddhism they studied, because they've got a very meditative presence about them.
They're so grounded, I think.
No.
They just have very peaceful presences about themselves. And without sounding unoriginal, I really do have to echo what Grace said. I love cooking. I always have. Growing up, my parents were always cooking, and I learned how to make the essentials, like spaghetti and goulash.
You're a great cook.
Thank you.
You're a great cook.
Thank you.
No notes.
Thank you. And I could cook pretty well by like 9, because that's around the time that we had moved to Pittsburgh, and I would be home alone after school. Thank you very much. And so
at 9, you were left home alone?
Not long. Like an hour.
Enough to make a spaghetti.
Enough to be like, I'm freaking hungry and I want spaghetti. Yeah. And my mom and dad always have shown their love in that way. Like my dad
they're both really great cooks too.
They are. And
the homemade pizzas.
I haven't had in so long.
Chef's kiss.
But they like my dad does not know how to cook for any less than 12 people. Like there's always food ready to be served no matter how many people are coming. And I would say that my mom is more like the orchestrator and my dad is, I don't know, like a cellist. He follows her direction with a little bit of dash of his own creative flair. And I'm the same, except I'm a 2-for-1 deal, because ain't no orchestrator in this house except for me. But I can remember
I orchestrate and I follow my own creative direction.
Exactly. And I can remember in 5th or 6th grade being asked to we had like a project where you had to come up with instructions for something that you know how to do really well. And I baked a cake. That was my like my thing.
Oh, there's a picture.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Thank you.
You made this at like what, 10 years old?
Yeah, 10 or 11.
11?
Yeah.
Dude, this is really impressive. You made the flowers too?
Yeah, they're marshmallows.
Shut up.
Yeah, so
you guys should see this thing.
We'll post a picture of it. But that was my thing, like baking a cake and topping it with homemade frosting. I could write instructions for doing that task. It was something that felt innate, if you will.
I'm obsessed. And it just shows that you had a lot of connection.
I think it was just
to like making food at a young age.
Yeah.
And to food in general.
Yeah. And I know it's not this is not a unique perspective. I would go to guess like a lot of people probably have grown up in similar households where food and eating together was really important, which is why I think that Grace's point about food bringing people together and episode 8 in general just resonated with me so much. Like showing care for someone by not only by feeding them, but by feeding them what I know to be at its peak, at its most delicious state, carefully plucked from like right here in my backyard. Or if it's not from right here, somewhere that I know it was like intentional, like the most intentional place that I could muster. And I am doing that for myself too. Which sort of exemplifies what Zion and Cole's point was when they were saying body as a landscape.
You gotta treat your body like a temple. You're your own best friend.
That's what
treat yourself like you would treat a loved one, because you are a loved one.
That's what I've so I've been told. But putting that to practice is like, I don't know. I think it would be really hard for me, and I would guess you as well, to go through all of these conversations, all of this research, and not take away some big shifts in our own habits and how we act. So after making this season, Ari, after all of this, what changes for you? What are you going to do differently?
As boring as it sounds, I'm sorry, I'm a broken record, but I'm going to keep being a conscious consumer. More conscious than just, is this, does this contain gelatin or not? But like conscious as in like, where did this come from? Is it in season? Am I supporting that sort of island economics idea? And honestly, I'm looking at food as more of something, I want to say, sacred, rather than just something that I have to do. Just as you were explaining, I really like cooking, and I really like preparing beautiful meals for my friends and for myself. But for me, it is a great way to bring people together, and it's a way of like showing love for someone. Like if I have someone at my house, it's a love language. Like I want to make something for them. Like I'd rather make you something than us like buy a pizza and eat it at the house. Like to me, it feels more hospitable if I cook you something. But I say the word sacred because sometimes like we get busy and we just have to like eat something quick to like not die from hunger. And to me now, like food just feels so much more intentional after this season, more than it was before, where I'm like, okay, what month is it? It's May. The tomatoes are coming in season. That's great. So like what goes really, really good with these Florentine like cuore di buio tomatoes? Oh, the fresh mozzarella, amazing. Okay. And then like I've got my basil plant. I'm gonna chop that up, and I've got my fresh olive oil. I'm gonna drizzle that on top as well. And like now my hunger just turned into like this beautiful expression of the season, of like the local ecology, of how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like I need some like fresh zest. That just expressed what I'm feeling, what I feel like my body needs right now. And I like listening to my body. I'm like, oh, my body needs something warm. Okay, we're going to cook the tomatoes then. How is this like seared olive oil in a pan tomato situation? What's going to go good with that? Should I make it with fish? Should I make a pasta dish with like, it's just like, it's a lot more intentionality. It's a lot more, it feels like a practice that's a lot more cozy and like sacred to me, and how I express my relationship with my body, with the ecology, with the season.
Picasso. Sounds like art.
Picasso. Oh my gosh. I'm so pick me right now. Monet. Like, what? I'm like, me? An impressionist? Couldn't be.
I have the privilege to be able to eat whatever I want. I have the privilege of choice and access, and the ability to pay for that choice and access, even if it's a little bit more inconvenient, whatever. I will not be squandering that choice and access. I think that I have for a long time, and after this season, I feel more empowered to do better. And I think that is probably the biggest change coming out of this.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, not saying that I'm going to be the best or perfect, but just as close to my best as I can be is how I will be choosing to proceed. And in addition, I think that I will be advocating for better choice for others in a way that I maybe wasn't being as intentional with before.
I think that's all the system needs right now. Doesn't need perfection. Doesn't need you to be performing at your best all the time. It needs consciousness. It needs connection, and it needs you just doing a little bit better than the day before. And I think that ties into the consumer dollar power. It's really the biggest call to action we have for everyone listening to.
Yeah.
Because we understand it's not super I mean, do what you can within your abilities, right? Like if you want to start a sovereign food forest in your backyard, go for it. I actually did have a listener message me that that's what they're doing now, that's what they've been working on like the last year. And I think that's awesome.
Incredible.
Like if you have the ability to do that and you have the resources and the time, you should do whatever you feel comfortable with. But even on a more micro scale, understanding the power that you have as a consumer, like you're not helpless, you're not hopeless, like you have $1 and you can spend it as I don't want to sound too privileged with this statement. I'm trying to frame it in a way that doesn't sound obnoxious.
It's nuanced. Like what you're describing is nuanced. You're not talking about every single person with $1. You're talking about the people that have the dollar to be able to choose. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you are in that position, you can make informed decisions.
Yeah.
And literally a choice to put your dollar into one thing versus the other is a massive vote for a type of food system that you want and that you want to see in the future. So do with that power what you will. I hope you use it for helping to shape a more just, more inclusive, and a more healthy food system that's better for people and planet.
I agree. No notes.
This has been so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been so fun.
It's been a lot of work. Can we just wrap this by saying, I want to say thank you to Lexi for the insane amount of work she has put in to this. Please remember, she is a full-time law student.
Not for long. I have 2 finals left. One today and one on Monday.
Then she's coming to see me, and we're partying so hard, bro. She has no idea. It's going to be insane. But I will prepare you a really nice caprese salad make sure it's in season.
Thank you. And I must also thank Ari, because as a full-time student trying to juggle all of the responsibilities and just how much we love and care about this project, none of it would be possible if not for Ari. Genuinely, anything you see on our posts is almost always curated and made beautiful by Miss Ariana, and without her, the wheels would fall off. So thank you, Miss.
We're both keeping this engine running.
Yeah, and Bob, because without Bob,
and Bob, thank
without
you, Bob,
there would be no edited podcast and certainly no edited video. Or if there were, it would be once every 6 months when we got around to actually editing our own stuff. So thank you, Bob.
Big thank you and shout out to Bob. Thank you to everyone listening who followed the agriculture journey with us from start to finish. We really, really, really appreciate it. And I hope that it transcended into your personal lives. That's all we ask. And please, one big act of resistance, of shaping a new system would be sharing this project with people.
Yes.
I'm not joking. We put in, I'm not trying to gloat. I'm not trying to sound obnoxious. We worked so freaking hard for this. And it would mean the world if we were able to change just a few people's consumer habits and awareness about this. So if you can share this with your friends and your community and your family and that uncle that you have that just won't shut up about climate change denial at the barbecue, whoever you think needs to hear this, everybody needs to hear this. So share it, please. And thank you.
With that, ta-ta, residents.
Ta-ta.
Hotel Earth 360 Degrees is written and produced by Ariana Helvai and Alexandria Moorhead. The agriculture series would not be possible without the profound shared knowledge of Indigenous communities and every guest who devoted their time and perspectives. This season was edited by Bob. Find us on Substack, at HotelEarth360.com, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts.